Good morning, everyone. Happy peak of the week, or Wednesday, hump day, or another day for you guys. So, thanks for taking some time today to meet with myself, going through a presentation. There's a lot of information here. This won't be the only time you see the information. This is the first time you are seeing the information. So, tentatively right now, the same presentation, and Dr. Backlars just asked and said, is it going to be the same presentation on the 31st? Or are you going to know something new? And I said, hopefully I don't know too much what is new, and what I share with you today is what it is. So it'll be a very similar presentation on the 31st. You'll also be receiving regular memos regarding that up to the date. And then obviously throughout the course of the final phase of construction, we'll be holding meetings. But let's jump into it, and feel free to ask questions throughout, and we'll go through it. So, go through just a brief construction update, really what's getting us to this point. When is it going to take effect? Where is it going to take effect? Why is it going to take effect? How? All those things. We'll talk about the phasing schedule and the impact. So where we're sitting right now is what is going to be impacted. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the work that still needs to be done in the main areas and common areas, and then the flooring piece. And then also we'll talk about activity spaces and updates, what that looks like, some of the dining spaces and updates and things of that nature as well. So let's get into it. All right, so construction update. Very excited. And I realize that these are a little bit not completely in order, but April 3rd, the temporary partition that we've been working with over the course of the last 2+ months, 3 months almost, that middle partition will be coming down April 3rd. That is Monday, April 3rd. Ceiling work in that area will begin April 4th. So think of it this way. They've made one half of the ceiling on this side. When they built the new, they've made the other half. Now they have to connect it in the middle, right? So that work right now is going to be done during the day and during kind of normal activity hours tentatively. And I say tentatively because they're going to see how it goes, but basically they're going to shut down areas of the hallway throughout the day and navigate you around to the spaces, because we'll have both sides to get to and from. So again, that's going to be some interesting work that's going to take place over during April 4th and through basically the month of April. We're going to have the new spaces open. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Skipped a slide. April 4th, Lindsay Hall comes down, along with the hallway of Lindsay Hall. And so, for those of you that are in the historic building, you will be the most impacted because your route to the main dining room, as well as the other areas, will be from elevator D to the second floor of Contemporary over to elevator C and down. Now, you can also use stairs or take the elevator all the way to the basement or the parking garage and walk through the garage as well. There's a couple different avenues you can go. But this is tentatively going to take place from April 4th, the afternoon of April 4th, through June 5th. And then June 5th is when Lindsay Hall will reopen and the hallway will reopen. Now, I'm working closely with CG Schmidt, and I'm trying to provide worst case scenarios for you. And obviously, we're hoping for the best case scenarios. This is the information I have right now, and that June 5th date is tentatively when everything will be back open. Now, I'm pushing CG Schmidt to obviously get the hallway open and done as quickly as possible, but they will be using the courtyard to get construction materials in and out of the area. So that is why that hallway area will be shut down. And then lastly is June 30th is when all common area work will be completed, and we should have some exciting brand new spaces that will be complete. Construction will be in its final phases, and hopefully the fitness center is opening as well shortly thereafter. Now going back to April 4th, this does mean the main entrance will open. So again, going back to, the Circle Drive entrance is the one we're talking about. However, the main desk is not going to move back to its permanent home. You'll see a main desk go up, but you're not going to see Lila, Famato, or our weekend staff going there because there's still a lot of construction work to be done. And so when they're answering phones and taking care of you, I want them to be able to do that effectively. And so also to minimize the necessary confusion to you, you'll still be going to the same place during this duration. So again, that will be, you'll see that April 4th, the Circle Drive will be open. In talking with Teresa, she's brought up some valid points. You know, obviously that area will be secure, but you're not going to have a receptionist looking out both doors. There's still going to be Bradford Terrace. So that main entrance is primarily going to be for you as East Castle residents. We're going to have signs up for deliveries and visitors to please use the Bradford Terrace entrance. Now, as we've gone through construction, we've known that Amazon just likes to throw packages wherever they may, regardless of where we tell them to. So we're going to monitor that. We're going to kind of feel through that. But again, April 4th, you'll be able to use that main entrance again to go in and out of the building. And again, we are going to encourage visitors to come still through Bradford Terrace because of our sign-in process and just because it's where they can get the answers. So we'll have some signage up. We'll be working closely. Obviously, Teresa will be leading that charge with Lila and Famana and asking for that feedback. But the permanent transition of that front desk right now is slated probably towards that early to mid-June. So again, getting through the construction. The exciting part is the new library will be open. The mailroom will be final, the 1884 at East Castle Place. That is our new bar bistro. That will be open. And again, furniture will be there. So furniture is going to arrive March 30th and March 31st. Right now on the other side of that partition. So there's still a lot of work to be done. Obviously, as you're seeing through the windows, they're putting in flooring today in the 1884 and in the common areas. But those new spaces, you'll see them and they're gonna look pretty vacant. Why? We're not gonna have the library completely set and open. I'm looking at Polly and the library committee and they're gonna help out with that. The second floor will also be open. So where the old salon and marketplace is, that will be open. And I'm excited to have you see that space because there's a large conference room, the meditation room will reopen, a computer resource center. So really it'll be a space not only for our staff, but for you as residents. There'll be a small library up there and then we'll also have the boardroom available. So we'll have a lot more open spaces. What we'll miss is a large space like this. So there's some ideas we have to work through that while Lindsay Hall is down. So going back to the open of April 4th, and I say open in quotation marks, right? Because it still needs to be moved into. Like I said, it's gonna be pretty vacant. The library's still gonna need to be restocked. The 1884 is not gonna be complete with all the liquor and everything that is to be set in that area. We're not going to be staffing 5 days a week in the 1884 right out of the gates. We'll be working with the Food and Beverage Committee and Mijarka to let you know how that's going to be staffed. Initial indications are that will be your new lunch venue, and the formal dining room, main dining room, will only be used for the evening because our lunch crowds are generally smaller, in anywhere between 10 to 15, and that's on a big day. Usually it's more in that 5 to 10 range. And so Tanya and the team will take care of you with a similar menu. We may change some menus up and then serve you out of that space so that way the main dining room can be utilized for different purposes, primarily for formal dining. The mailroom is going to need updates, right? There's going to be new mailboxes and different things. That's the primary resource area for your communication and bulletin board. There will be a smaller space for that, but then in the main library, that's where all your information is going to come from, and the art isn't going to be hung yet. So again, it's open, it's functional, but it's not final. So in anticipation of Lindsay Hall going down on April 3rd, we are going to have a celebration of sorts to shut the building down, right? So April 3rd, I think, is the last Harbor Justice series in the morning is slated for that in Lindsay Hall, because I know it's a very large room. And then it just so happens that the Brewers are opening day is that day. So we're going to do an opening day tailgate right here in Lindsay Hall. And then finally it'll be followed by a happy hour to really shut down Lindsay Hall. And so I've made a couple jokes that if you really like the wallpaper, I will welcome you to take a piece of wallpaper with you on your way out. If you really like a piece of carpeting, I can probably cut some carpeting up for you, and you can take that as a memoriam to Lindsay Hall. Then April 4th, all the tables and chairs will be removed, this large TV, and this becomes a full-blown construction work site. There's some work that structurally has to be done. They're adding some doors here for storage purposes, so I don't have to see all the chairs up all the time. They're taking down that temporary partition since it's not functional anymore, and it just kind of hinders some of the space. New sound system will be installed. This will still be the main venue for church, so the cross and stained glass remain. And then various other minor things will be happening throughout Lindsay Hall. Then obviously the hallway gets redone completely, and then once the hallway and Lindsay Hall are done, the ramp will also be open. So that is a lot of information. But again, April 3rd is kind of going to be that celebration of what the old Lindsay Hall was, and also as an appreciation and thank you, and maybe an apology for the headache that you're going to be going through starting April 4th. But again, we want to make that kind of a big day for you as residents, because we know what kind of the next 6 to 8 weeks is going to look like. But also that, again, Lindsay Hall treated us really well, and again, I'm excited to see what it's going to look like when we open it back up. So after April 4th, where are you going to meet? What are we going to do, right? So again, April 4th, the movers and construction crews are going to be in this space. You're going to see that the hallway is going to be closed down. Church, mass, exercise, other programming is going to take place in various parts of the campus. I talked with Stacy right before this. She has a calendar that'll be set up in April with the different spaces identified. So BT first floor, and if you didn't receive the memo on Monday, Maureen, did we send that out? I don't know. We sent it Friday? Sure, Friday. There's a memo that was sent out about the mask mandate for BT first floor for you as residents, and we kind of taken that away. And so we'll be using the first floor of Bradford Terrace where the movies are currently. Right now that's tentatively where church and mass will also take place. The second floor activity space is also going to be used. Obviously we have the contemporary second floor for classroom lecture that will host probably about 15 to 20 residents. So committee meetings and things of that nature will be able to take place there. The 1884 is going to have at least 2 to 3 TVs that we can broadcast on, both channel 955 as well as some of the medium-sized groups, as we'll call it. I know we have already some programming planned for that towards the end of April. And then the main dining room. So Majarka and Stacy and I have talked quite a bit about using the main dining room for our large meetings. It's going to be interesting because obviously it needs to be set for 4 o'clock for you to be able to dine in there each night. But we do have some performers coming in and things of that nature, some happy hours and different things that will take place throughout the main dining room and the 1884. So again, we're going to navigate this. We're going to get through it. Again, we've been going through the construction, if you can't believe it, for over a year now. We're in the home stretch, and again, I think the outcomes are going to be something that we're all very, very proud of and can be utilized for years to come. And this small blip of 6 to 8 weeks will be a distant memory when we meet in next June. Questions? A lot of information was shared there, right? A lot of information was shared. And the next part is phasing, and that's where I'll go into more of the emergency kind of access and things of that nature for you as residents and what that all looks like. But what questions can I answer now that I've shared a lot of that? Judy, I saw your hand first.
When will residents have access to the patio?
So that is probably going to be, because they're still putting in windows and balconies, probably end of May, early June, because we still have to put landscaping in there too. So again, you'll be able to walk in and out of that courtyard area, but it won't have like the patio furniture and things of that nature. Again, probably till end of May, early June.
How will we
through the main dining room.
Second question, does it mean that, the dining room, that the, private dining rooms will not be available for luncheons?
Yes, they will still be available for luncheons. Thank you for that. Majarka and I chatted. If you have a larger luncheon group, like I know some of you have had, that will still be available, absolutely. But there's also sometimes some committee meetings and things that we can use that space for. I know I've used it for the director meetings and some of my board meetings as well. So yes, those will be available, and we have calendars that you can reserve them. Obviously, if it's a dining function, you'll reserve that just like you do with Tanya and Majarka. But if it's for a small committee gathering or something like that you might talk with Stacy on, you can schedule that through Lila in the front desk. Yes.
I have a question. When the front entrance opens again, and you said mostly we'll be using that,
Yep.
Will that be locked?
Yes, so if you remember before construction, you were let in with a button or your key. That will still be the same. It'll still be secure. You'll still be let in because there's a camera that you'll push the button. That camera will pop up at the front desk. So it'll still be secure and still be functional, but it just won't be apparent that there's somebody at that front desk, which is why we're going to be encouraging visitors, deliveries, still come through Bradford Terrace in the meantime. So,
But our B1 key will still work.
Yep, your B1 key will still work in that area. So again, you can come and go as you please. Mr. Culp, did you have a question?
Well, I was wondering if I could bring a baseball bat on April 3rd. It's opening day, and we're celebrating. And if they lose, and you're emptying out the hall here, and construction starts the next day, can we start battering down the walls in frustration?
Unfortunately, our overall liability insurance and risk mitigation may not allow that. That would be something I would need to sign a waiver. You would sign a waiver on and make sure you're fully protected. So initially, no. You can definitely bring a prop baseball bat and things of that nature, but not asking you to take it out on a wall as well for your own safety as well as those around you. But if we need a demo room, I don't know if anybody's been in there, we can maybe find one. So. Yes, Ms. Peer.
If a committee wanted to plan a lecture in that time frame that would hopefully attract 40 people or so, would it be allowed to hold such a lecture in the dining room?
Yes, tentatively, yes. And I say tentatively because we would need to figure out how that works with the dining staff, or with the dining room first. So it would probably have to be a morning to early afternoon, like probably no later than a 1 o'clock start. So we'd have to work with you there. And then we also really just have to see the functionality because we'll have the portable sound system. We'll have to use a projection screen and things of that nature. And we're not gonna move tables and chairs out to set it like this. It'll be, you'll be sitting at the table. So if we can navigate that, sure. The other possibility is the bar bistro holds, it'll be tight, but that might be another venue. 40's probably pushing it. I'm not gonna lie, 40 will be pushing it for that bar bistro. But yes, we could definitely be creative during this time, I guess. We'll try to find a yes to that. And again, that's where Stacy and Majarka have worked to kind of pre-plan some of those larger events in the main dining room. But yes, again, I don't want, usually we always try to find the way to say yes, and usually we can. But again, I don't want you to have an idea and not feel like you can ask it. Because if you don't ask it, well, we can't figure it out. But we can say yes, let's make that happen. So, what other questions? All right. Phasing. All right, so now I'm going to show you some pictures of the floor plans. So this is the Lindsay Hall and Lindsay Hallway, closed April 4th through June 5th. And so again, it's in purple. I know that that's difficult to see, potentially, but it's this phase right here. Okay, and there will be actually a partition that's going to shut that area down. So again, the goal is to make that not accessible to you, so it's completely accessible and utilized by our construction teams. I've talked to them about, does it make sense if you push some people, push some trades into overtime to speed up the schedule. And they're still working through that piece because they know how vital this thoroughway is to you. Lindsay Hall might not be open, but getting this hallway back open, I think, will be a benefit to not only you as the historic residents, but also the staff members. Obviously, we have maintenance teams, housekeeping teams, some activity staff that utilize that space too. So all the more reason to try and expedite that as quickly as possible.
Will you point out what is what there?
Sure, good question. So I'll start here. Front entrance, okay? Going down the hallway, main dining room, 1884, Lindsay Hall. Elevator D, historic, Lindsay Hall, Lindsay Hallway. Thank you for that, Dr. Backlars. I apologize. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Again, to get to and from the historic terrace, the main pathway will be elevator D to the first floor contemporary, to elevator C to the ground floor. So, if you're on the fourth floor or if you're on the ground floor in the Creativity Center or Fitness Center, that will be one way. Go to elevator D, and then you're going to go up and over. For those of you that are coming from contemporary, pretty status quo. Outside of obviously using this hallway, for those of you going from the historic, which again, you will be impacted from a dining room night overnight. That's going to be where your path is going to elevator C. Now, you can use the stairs, obviously, throughout. Elevator C is the C elevator right here in the Contemporary building, right by the bathrooms. Elevator D is this elevator right here. No? I got that wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the first floor though. that's
First
the
floor
oldest
contemporary?
floor.
What would be two? Second floor contemporary?
Second floor and
That's my mistake. It's second floor.
What's second floor?
Second floor contemporary. So when you're in the elevator, elevator D. Let me just get my phone up because I just walked this route.
Why don't we walk in?
Yeah, I know. We walk it every day, and I see it every day too. All right. So if you're in elevator D, you're going to hit 2 from either 1R, 2R, 3R, whatever that is. You're gonna hit 2 on the elevator D, go over to elevator C, and then hit the ground floor for elevator C.
Are there steps to take?
There are, well, you can take steps all the way down the center stairwell here, down to the basement, into the underground garage, and then you can get elevator C from the underground garage, and then take elevator C up to the ground floor or to Bradford Terrace.
Have you figured out how long we're gonna have to wait for elevators?
Probably as long as you do right now. Dave?
Will 2 be open all the way to the boardroom?
Yes, 2 will be open all the way to the boardroom, so that's another option. So if you go down from your apartment, Dr. Backlars and Historic, you can go down to the second floor, and then you can either go from the C elevator, if you want to use the stairs, go all the way to where the beauty salon was and things of that nature, where the front desk is, and then you'll come down that set of stairs.
Rooftop garden?
Rooftop garden, yes, the rooftop garden will also be open. Ms. Tackle?
What provisions are being made for emergency access into and out of historic?
Good question. I will skip ahead. Milwaukee Fire Department and EMS will have a guided route from the main entrance to the historic building. So Eric and I are going to be meeting with Milwaukee Fire Department. They will be going from Bradford Terrace elevators because they enter off either Circle Drive or the Bradford Terrace entrance. They'll go down stairs to the Bradford Terrace and go through the garage with brightly labeled arrows that will point them to the D elevator that then they can get to where they need to go.
What about emergency? Because there are several emergency services and millions of drivers.
Right, and so we're gonna do our best with EMS, and again, it's always gonna be follow the arrows. And so the arrows aren't gonna go anywhere, they're gonna be bright, highlighted. So it's always gonna be from the main desk, where is this apartment? The front desk is gonna say, go to the Bradford Terrace elevators, take that down to the basement, follow the arrows to elevator D, and then hit 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you'll be guided from there. So, again, I know, again, at the end of the day, emergencies do take precedent and priority, and so working with CG Schmidt on that piece as well. If they can open up an area overnight or something of that nature to make it easier access as well. So I just don't have those details yet, nor does CG Firm want to commit. Eric, did I miss anything as Eric walked in on the emergency response standpoint?
No, I think you nailed it. I think the simplest way to explain it is instead of using the first floor to traverse from buildings, it's just the basement floor. And the arrows are so that we don't have to communicate it verbally. We can just have them follow the arrows. So we're trying to make it simple for the many, many drivers and different companies that may need that emergency path. That way it's just follow the arrow. It's very simple.
Is waiting for the elevators.
You're not wrong, but even if you're using the first floor, that difficulty still exists. If you're on the third floor of Contemporary, you still have to wait for C or D elevator.
So good points though. All right, then, and again, this will be communicated, but I'm giving you the whole picture. May 8th through 11th is when work will be done in the main entrance area for flooring. Again, this is all flooring from here on out. So the other thing that I should have mentioned is when that temporary partition comes down, it's gonna be half carpet, half smooth surface. And it's not going to be the pretty herringbone tile and carpeting that we're going to end with. It's going to be like that for about a month. So again, as I say, we're opening, it's functional, but not the way aesthetically we will look. So beginning May 8th, after all the ceiling work is done and all of that, that's an assumptive, this space, which is the main reception desk, so this will be the main door here, right? You're gonna come into the main door and then you're just gonna take a quick trip over through the library and to this. Again, that work's gonna happen overnight, so when you wake up in the morning, you may not have to change your path at all. Again, obviously, if this is shut down during the night and you need to get to the main desk and physically see them, you'll have to walk outside. So that is for a short duration from May 8th to May 11th. The weather's going to be beautiful. So again, you know, we might just have to host the movie night that night somewhere else than like the bar, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, the overnight work is to open up the space and open up the areas during the day, obviously when most of us are walking through. Then May 12th through May 17th, again, this will be your common area corridor. Going from the library, this is the marketplace, bistro, the 1884, right? So that will take place overnight that week. This is going to be the most interesting part because portions, and we've changed this slightly to make it a little bit more operationally function, but this is elevator C. This is where the first floor steps are not going to be accessible. So those of you that live on the first floor Contemporary, and again, this is where if it's an emergency, you will have access and be able to get to and from and what you need, where to go. But if it's not an emergency, we may ask you just to hang tight in your apartment from 10 p.m. till about 6 a.m. Hopefully you're sleeping anyway. Because that space is going to be hard to get to and from. So again, most likely if you tear up one night, you're going to wake up, it'll be a smooth surface or floor, then they're going to tear up that side, and then they're going to have to carpet it. Hopefully it's like, you know, ferries in the middle of the night that just come and go as they want, and you wake up and they're done, they're in the next phase. So again, that's why primarily all this will be done overnight. The majority of the work isn't too loud either. So again, I understand that may be a concern. That is something that I am aware of, and if for some reason you're saying, you know what, Tyler, it's too loud at night, do it during the day, give us the headache that way, we can work through that piece as well. So that will conclude the whole first floor of the commons area. So tentatively May 20th, we're through the headaches, through the pain. You will also note this. Show and tell time. Teresa, you didn't know you were gonna be my Vanna, did you?
Vanna White.
And she even color coordinated. So this is a product that is going to be rolled out for both your safety as well as to have the visual appearance of the transitions of the construction work. So this will be, right now if you walk past, and I'm sure at this point you just walk on through, there's that kind of cardboard looking blue tape to transition from the Bradford Terrace to Contemporary. This is going to be rolled out kind of throughout. It's a sturdier product, it's got grip, it's not pretty, it's very obtrusive, but it will catch the eye and hopefully make the space safe. So you'll see this, it's a very hard material, and it'll be taped down and kind of rolled out each and every night as they're putting the different flooring down and transitioning to and from. So again, there will be a slight elevation, probably less than an inch, much like what you're going through right now. We know we have to keep walkers and wheelchairs and things of that nature safe. But this will be rolled out by CG Schmidt in the evening, when they wrap up the work, so that it can be safe during the day and then rolled back out and taken back up so they can continue their work. So don't be alarmed when you see this. This is planned. Again, I had choice of color. I went with the bright orange to make it, visually to say there's something happening here. It's also construction. We're getting into the construction season in Wisconsin anyway on the road. So hey, let's just bring it inside the East Castle Place for a little bit. Again, some work right now is tentatively planned throughout the day. Thanks, Teresa. I think you're good to go. Some work right now is planned during the day, and again, that's going to start April 4th. April 3rd, you'll see some impact just with that temporary partition going down. Again, we've done such a good job as a community and CG Schmidt as a company from a safety standpoint. They're well into 60,000 hours of no workplace injury on the project. They want that to continue. More so, they want to make sure you as residents remain safe as well. So if you see caution tape, red caution tape, yellow caution tape, an area that you're being asked to please wait, I ask for your patience. It is for your safety. It's not to make something easier or the lives easier of somebody that is a construction zone. It's just that you don't have a hard partition or a wall that is stopping you. It's caution tape. So again, that caution tape primarily will just be up during the day when workers are working. When they're not here, they're going to make the space as safe as possible upon leaving, and so that you cannot access it, or if you can access it, it's safe to access. So again, just appreciate your understanding and your patience during this time. Again, your safety is my priority. It's also CG Schmidt's priority. And same thing with the workers. Again, they're going to be working. I know you're going to be wanting to know what they're doing and asking those questions and maybe throwing in some supervision on the way you think it should be done. They're trained professionals, trust in them, and try to limit, again, the hellos, the good mornings, they love that. But again, saying, oh, that should be 2 inches to the left, and watch out, those are not things that we probably want to shout to the construction workers, as that will not make them safe. And do know that they are supervised, do know that they, again, are a very skilled labor force. And so what they're doing, they're supposed to be doing. And again, if you have questions or concerns about that, feel free to see me or Pete, but try to let the individuals do the work that they're supposed to be doing, because that allows them to be more effective and efficient, and oh, by the way, that should allow them to get in and out. Trust me, they don't want to be in our space as much as you do. So they're looking to be done, again, as efficiently, as effective as possible. All right, so again, a lot of information was shared there. What questions might you have? Barbara?
2, the public restrooms here at the C elevator, are they being dealt with at all, or are they going to be functional during this time?
Good question. It's something I did not address, so thank you. They are being updated, and they will not be functional for periods of time. Right now, that's tentatively that April 4th, going down with Lindsay Hall. The goal is to get them back up as soon as possible, but probably from about April 4th to at least 2 to 3 weeks, they will not be available to us at this time. Again, another piece that I'm waiting for final responses on, but there's obviously updating and work. The good thing is the plumbing is really not moving in there. We're not adding extra bathrooms or anything like that to it. So again, it should be primarily just facelift, so to speak, a renovation. So, but there is work to be done, both from a flooring, ceiling, wall, fixtures, countertops, all the gamut. So, what was your second question, Barbara?
They were together.
Oh, they were together. Okay.
You're not gonna change the floor then, right?
Yes, we are.
Oh, didn't hear.
The question was, you're not going to change the floor in there, are you? And yes, it is tentatively planned to change. Susan, Ms. Sackle.
Susan.
Susan.
What, as long as we're going into the future, what are the plans for the garages for those of us who were evicted from the water tower garage?
So the few that have been impacted,
And safety as far as the doors are concerned.
and excuse me, what safety?
Safety as far as the doors are concerned.
And you're speaking in safety about the garage doors being left open? That's the piece that, okay. So two-part question. So those of you that were moved from the garage in Water Tower to Bradford Terrace, I'll be meeting with you one-on-one to discuss what that looks like moving forward. As far as the safety of the garage doors, again, that's going to be a continued maintenance piece. You know, we have preventive maintenance on those garages. At times they break, and we'll be as expeditious as possible to fix them, as we always are. But again, from the first part, I'll be meeting with you here shortly. I know that you've been chatting with Maureen, so I'm happy to have that conversation with you and kind of walk through what that might look like.
The concern about the slow closing of the door, particularly coming in off the Prospect.
So you're talking about the Bradford Terrace garage. Those feel slow.
Yes.
Eric, I'm glad you're here.
The tailgating accident or incident at St. John's.
Yeah, and so Eric, do you want to address?
Yeah, I don't want to speak to the background, I apologize. Susan and I had discussed that. We just want to make sure we haven't had any issues, but I think it's being safer. So potentially speeding up the closing of the door. The other thing we talked about is there are times you've all witnessed, we've had move-ins, things like that. The door has remained open for periods of time. We're going to try to stop doing that. And then when we do have a move-in, a moving company, anything like that, we're going to go to remote. If they need to come and go from there for transport of goods, so we're not going through the main lobby, we're going to have to use a remote so that the door is closed when they're not at that entrance.
In another high-rise that we lived in where there was a garage, they required the people moving in to provide a guard to sit there while the door was open.
And you're right, because when you leave that door open, there's a risk involved.
Right.
So that's where we thought we should just close it and have the mover, let's say, open the garage, walk the goods through, and the garage door closes behind them. When they come back, it's the adverse. But you're right, something just to be more careful. We haven't had that problem, but we don't want to invite it either.
But it's the slow closing that another car could come in that is not, or a person could come in.
Yeah,
that is not.
it's the whole tailgating feature is really, because if someone sticks the nose of their car in the door and it stops the safety lights, then the door would remain open. So there's some inherent risk there because you don't want the door to come down on a car, but at the same time you don't want it to stay open for a long period of time after you pull.
Make it so that if you pull up to a certain point, wait here. That'll proceed so that the door does come down quickly behind you. And you know that it is, particularly if you're coming in at night.
Mm-hmm. And again, the positive thing is we do have a camera there to keep an eye on those, so there is some security viewing of that area to make sure that we don't have random people just coming through, but we'll continue to keep an eye on them since we don't want those issues.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Does the B key open the side door of that garage or not?
No.
Does the B key open that side garage, Eric?
It does not.
It does not.
It's a different key.
Yeah.
Any way to get a key that, if I walk the dog and it's raining, then she has to go that far and I want to come back in and I come all the way back around?
We can.
We can
It
look
would be
at
nicer because it
that.
is on its own singular key for whatever reason.
Right. We can look at that. We just don't want to open up too many keys to too many individuals because it's tough to keep track of them. So, Dr. Backlars?
Yeah, are you, those blueprints that you had up here, are those gonna be up anywhere in the building so that we can review them? Those,
These?
yeah.
Yes, I mean, I can as we're progressing so that it's a visual about what areas are impacted. I absolutely can do that.
That'd be very helpful.
Sure. What other questions do you have? Cooper?
I just wanted to mention that as of today, movers are using the garage fob to open and close the doors, so no more leaving the doors open.
Great, thank you, Cooper. So that was going back to the garage security question about movers utilizing the remote so they don't just keep it open for a long extended periods of time. What other questions might you have without actually being a part of it? Because I know there's going to be more questions. So, yes, Dave.
Where's the pool table gonna go?
Where's the pool table gonna go? Good question. We're gonna find a space. Don't you worry. Before this project is done, we're gonna find somewhere to do the second. Yes, it's the same place as the second guest room, which right now is not planned. So, all right. What other questions? Yes.
Are you going to be talking about the fitness center later in this presentation, or is this my only chance to bring it up?
This is your only chance to bring it up. No, I'm just kidding. Because the presentation is essentially wrapped up. But good question. Fitness center. When is that coming back online? So again, we have to get certificate of occupancy for the Lake Terrace building in order to get the fitness center back. That is the pool. That is the fitness center, the salon, etc. As much as we've tried to work with the city to say we'd like that fitness center open first and foremost, there's a lot of mechanicals and life safety that all come from that basement area. So the fitness center is going to open when the Lake Terrace building opens, which is when we get the certificate of occupancy. Now that means we should be able to, as residents, have access to that immediately, as opposed to waiting for the Lake Terrace residents to move in and things of that nature. Because once I get certificate of occupancy, there's still potentially a lot of work and detail work that has to be done. If you as residents say, Tyler, if I can get in the pool and the fitness center is safe for me to get into, let me get in there, and you will let me have some touch-up paint and some minor maintenance things going on while you're in there, and you're okay with that, we'll get that open as soon as possible. And I think that's the sense I'm getting from the majority of you as residents, is saying, get me in my fitness center as soon as possible. So that is our goal. We do have to receive certificate of occupancy from the city of Milwaukee. Once we receive that, we will go ahead and get that fitness area open. One exciting thing about the fitness center is Badger Pools is our partner in that. We are getting all brand new pool equipment, brand new pool heaters, dehumidification systems, a liner, tile, new pool type of equipment, the floaties and things of that nature. But it'll be a brand new space. So again, we're definitely investing in that fitness center because we know how much of the impact that is. And to not do that and to say, well, we still have a year left of life on this heater, and then it goes out 3 days in, is not going to be a fun day for Tyler. So that's why we're going ahead and making the investment in the pool area. But again, that didn't add time. I'm not saying that that's added time. It's truly that certificate of occupancy from the city for that building. So I wish I had a different answer. Again, early on, I was hopeful that maybe they could start down there and the city would give us partial occupancy. But the city inspectors have been very firm that if the rest of the building isn't safe, we can't give you that partial occupancy. Ms. Heller.
The Creativity Center then will continue to be used for the fitness until the new fitness center opens. Then after that new fitness center opens, will anything be redone in the Creativity Center to update that area?
Yes, so the Creativity Center is a part of this project. However, I didn't want to move the fitness center to a brand new area to get that part of what I will quote unquote say this project. So we've delayed that creativity center. It will still be done. Most likely it's going to start in July instead of the time frame of right now. And that was purely because operationally and functionally, it just didn't make sense to move the fitness center twice as opposed to just once. So CG Schmidt, there are finishes, there are actually things purchased already for that space to update it, renovate it, new flooring, paint, cabinetry, things of that nature. So that space will be updated and will turn back into a creativity center. So good question. Yes, Susan. No?
Sorry, I have some poor questions today. What provisions are being made for yoga classes and that sort of thing that had as an alternative coming to Lindsay Hall?
Great question. So the question was, what about yoga? I think Tai Chi was another big one, and tone and stretch, and the bigger one. So, and I don't know if you've been there, but I would encourage you to go to the Bradford Terrace second floor activity room. That's where those classes are going to take place, and should allow for enough space. The other thing is,
And on a regular basis?
yes, yep, no, on a regular basis. So if yoga's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll call it, I might be wrong, it'll always be up in that Bradford Terrace second floor activity area. So Stacy and Willie and I have worked together along with Aaron, because obviously it's also the home to our assisted living residents, and so we do need to be mindful of that. They are sharing their space with us, and so again, if they come to a yoga class or come to a movie and things of that nature, again, that's something that they're going to be welcome to. But again, for the majority of them, we'll be holding kind of separate classes for them and different spaces. So if we, for some reason, all of a sudden have 15 people that want to do yoga, we may have to go to a sign up and offer it twice a day, just temporarily for that space. But again, we'll work through that. But I think Willie has a good plan in place, as I've discussed with him, along with Alicia and Mary, to continue the fitness programming that usually did take place in Lindsay Hall in another space.
So that sorry.
Nope. Go ahead.
That change will be when Lindsay Hall closes.
Correct.
Change, right?
Yep, that will.
Bradford Terrace.
Yes. And so the question was, that will change when when Lindsay Hall goes down. That's when that change. Yes. And one thing I also failed to mention, and I mentioned Stacy, I would mention this to you. There's going to be things wrong on the calendar. I'll just get that out in front. Not they're not today, but April and May are going to be interesting just because we're bringing on some brand new spaces that we've never used before. 2, we're anticipating that X number of people are going to show up, or that this space should work for this group. We're going to be pretty flexible. I talked with Stacy and the team, and we have a monthly calendar with the new spaces listed. You're really going to want to pay attention to your weekly calendars, and those should be as up to date as possible. And in the event of a huge change or something that's really impactful, we'll make sure that you get either a memo, or it'll be posted at the front desk or in a very visible area that you can go to. Also, I'll put a plug in. There's been a number of residents that have worked on a resident portal or a Touchtown app. The resident ambassador group's meeting, I think, this week at 3 o'clock Thursday, and so we're looking to roll that out March 31st. Basically, that resident portal Touchtown app is an application on your cell phone or computer that can get updated on a regular basis pretty easily. So outside of the written, which we will still do, and the elevator postings and things of that nature, we're going to roll that out from a communication standard. So we'll look forward to that, and hopefully use that as a very vital tool during this time and beyond. So, yes?
Often when we're showing a movie over in Bradford, there's staff that's cleaning up the kitchen, and they're like 10 yards away. It can be very distracting when dishes are being clanged around in pots and pans. And oftentimes there's a conversation going on between a couple of staff members. I wonder if you could talk to anybody about that.
And in the hallway too.
And in the hallway too, they walk down the hallway. It's very distracting.
So again, as part of it, the movies generally start at 7 o'clock, right?
Yep.
So again, this is the assisted living residence home as well. Our staff do need to be able to talk and to make sure the resident needs are being taken care of, because there are 4 residences on that floor. But I could definitely have a conversation with staff and seeing. I don't know if the movie goers would be open to moving the movie start time to 7:30. I know that's getting late in the night, but that does allow us to, 7:30, we should be pretty well wrapped up in that space.
It's after 8 o'clock.
It's after 8? Okay.
And it's not business that you're talking about.
Well, and I'll chat with Majarka and the team to make sure that, we're a little bit focused more on business. But again, we'll do our best to get out of that space and to remain in a quieter area. The other option potentially is the second floor contemporary building, that balcony area. There will be a TV screen as well as capabilities to show movies in that space, but it will be tables and chairs that you'd be sitting at. So it wouldn't be, similar things. So we can explore that, but in the meantime, I'll also check with Majarka and the AL staff. Yes?
Speaking of movies, what's the latest on the movie theater?
So, good question. The movie theater that's scheduled for the Lake Terrace building is on track. It should have seating for 16. That'll be the larger kind of movie comfy chairs, as well as additional seating like Lindsay Hall type chairs for up to 20. So I know that there's a little concern that, it's not the IMAX theater or anything like that. But on average, the movie attendance is 12 to 18, as well as we've never had the capability of showing a matinee or showing the movie twice in one day to try and give more opportunities. So yes, the movie theater is set. We're excited about that as another amenity. And again, Lindsay Hall will still always be available in the event that we're showing one of the Oscar nominated movies, which I only knew Top Gun, really. But we can still use Lindsay Hall for those larger showings. So again, that will all be a part of this. Yes?
Will there be equipment in Lindsay Hall that's similar to what's at Bradford Terrace, because it's way easier to operate?
Yes, that is the plan. So we're trying to make the technology a little bit simpler as well as more effective. Technology has come a long ways, and you can get a very nice sound bar to produce similar sound quality so that you as residents can utilize that not only during the movies but also throughout other times of the day. So yes, the technology plan. Again, for Lindsay Hall, it's a little bit more complex because we'll have a PA system and an overhead system, but at the same time, we'll still have a sound bar and a Bluetooth DVD player and a TV that's easy to use where you don't have to use the large system. So, what other questions? Okay, so with that, I have a few notes that I need to change on these slides. If there's a huge change or discrepancy in the presentation, we'll notate that on the March 31st presentation so that you might come back and hear it for yourself. Otherwise, consider yourselves checked. You've gone through the first presentation and it's voluntary from here on out if you want to join on the 31st. Because really the big difference is, making sure my directions are right. But no other information should really change or impact outside of what you've seen here today for that March 31st presentation. The other piece, you'll receive memos and updates throughout reminding you of this. Dr. Backlund, I love your suggestion of posting this and the impact there. But really the key dates to remember are April 3rd, Brewers opening day. We have the Harvard Justice Series and a happy hour right here in Lindsay Hall. Don't bring your bats, but take a piece of wallpaper and maybe we'll cut up some carpeting for fun. And then April 4th is when the Lindsay Hall and Lindsay Hall Way will come down I see Chaplain Harold out there in the back. He will move his church services. We talked with him. Same thing with Father Eugene. He's going to move Catholic Mass. So again, still wanting to be able to function just as we are without the beautiful Lindsay Hall large space. So with that, I will stay up here for any other questions you may have. I appreciate your time. Again, I know this is a lot of information. I'm not expecting you to pass the quiz on the first try. I never do. But what I do expect is to ask those questions or reach out to me, or again, the directors also have this. So Teresa is a great resource to check in with every day. She's a great resource to check in with and say hi. But the director team also is very aware of this. They've been in the loop throughout as a resource to me in case I'm not available or not here. Email works very well as well. Try to get back to you within a business day. I know I'm looking at a few of you knowing that I've missed that business day window, Jim Fry, and so I will be responding to you. But otherwise, a phone call, stop me in the hall. And my office isn't changing throughout this, so feel free to stop in. All right, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. March Madness starts tomorrow, technically starting Tuesday, but the brackets are due to my office on Thursday if you want to play along. We have some pretty cool prizes. I've had 4 residence brackets, so they're available right outside the Human Resource Office or by Lila at the front desk. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Mike, I may not make that walk.